I'm over 8 months pregnant. My mother-in-law insisted that we go back to our hometown to celebrate the new year. I directly refused. My husband said that his mother needed her to go back to celebrate the new year alone. When she came back, the baby had been born for 3 days. He asked me why I didn't tell him and gave birth to secretly. My dad slapped him in the face. This is my grandson, who has my household registration. I lay on the sofa and ate cherries. The doctor said I had a little anemia and needed iron supplementation. My dad immediately went to the fruit store to buy 5 kilograms of cherries, and told me that he would buy them even after finishing the meal. Her husband Lou Winson called her mother-in-law while eating. Mom, we won't go back during the Chinese New Year. Chinchin's belly is too big and it's not convenient to go back. My mother-in-law disagreed. That won't work. Your dad is leaving, you are the only male at home. If you don't come back, who will go to worship your ancestors? Your dad has just left and you won't come back. Son, do you want me to be laughed at by the villagers? Lou Winson hesitated. My heart skipped a beat. Lou Winson's hometown is in the mountains. It takes 7 or 8 hours to drive. The road is rugged and I can't go back with him. In the past 3 years, I have only been back once when I got married. We also agreed that we would not have to go back without any trouble. Lou Winson begged to look at me with all his eyes. He covered his cell phone and whispered, "Wife, can I drive it slowly?" I was stunned, but he didn't expect that he wanted me to go back with me. I was very angry, maybe it had something to do with pregnancy, and I couldn't help my temper at all. If you want to go back, you will go back by yourself. I will not be able to go back with you. I will be responsible for the children in my belly. My voice was not small, and my mother-in-law could hear it clearly. Qin Ziqing, what do you mean? He is my son, can't even come back for the new year? He is marrying you, not going to your house. Don't think that you can threaten us if you are pregnant. Lou Winson looked unhappy. He thought I shouldn't say it out loud and didn't give him face. I said coldly, I didn't stop him from going back, but it was my freedom that I could not go back. I married Lou Winson, not sold to your house. After saying that, I went back to the bedroom. I was afraid that it would be bad for the child in my stomach. When I closed the door, the sound from outside still came in. Mom, don't worry, I will definitely stand on your side. Hui, I will go back tomorrow. If you hold your breath, I will only be your relative. Lou Winson was not like this before. He is good-looking, very motivated, and treats me very well. But since his father passed away, he has changed. He attaches great importance to his mother-in-law's ideas and wants to take her to live in the city. He said, I have no father anymore, can you be more generous? My mother-in-law is a shrewd person, and she refused without thinking. Finally, he said, when I get old and can't walk anymore, I will come to the city to take care of my old age. I was more than 7 months pregnant at that time and thought about aborting the child, but the hospital refused to let him go, so I stayed. At that time, my dad waved his hand and said softly, it's no big deal to have parents in their support. I know they are afraid that I will regret it. I sighed and thought for a long time, but I still called my father. It seems that Lou Winson will definitely go back to his hometown to celebrate the new year. I am very in good health now and I really need someone to take care of him. My parents were very angry and wanted to come over immediately, and I couldn't wait for a minute. They were afraid that I would suffer a little grievance. As soon as I hung up the phone, Lou Winson came in, and the expression on his face was not very good. What did you mean just now? My mother just wants us to go back to our hometown. What is your attitude? Do you treat him as an elder? I only have my mother, can you stop being so petty? My stomach felt a little uncomfortable, so I took a deep breath and silently said to myself, hold your breath, hold your breath. My body belongs to me. I don't plan to take this man anymore. I dare to be angry with me now. Don't think of having a good life in the future. I sneered, I don't want to argue with you. If you want to go back, go back. Anyway, I don't dare to bet on my own and my children's lives. Lou Winson's face was very dark. When my dad passed away, my dad felt uncomfortable in his stomach. What was his attitude? You must go back this new year, otherwise my mother will be unhappy. You are also a woman. Can you empathize with him? I was very disappointed with Lou Winson and felt that in his heart, his mother was more important than his biological child. Since that's the case, then he will live a good life with his mother. Why are you going to provoke me? Lou Winson's hand clenched into a fist. I decided to calm him down first. Don't be excited, let me think about it, can it be? Lou Winson's expression was a little better, and he said leisurely, Wife, you two are the most important women in my life. I don't want you to quarrel. Can you make a step back for me? I want to laugh a little. What is the most important woman? What is he? Why should I make me take a step back? I pressed it casually twice. I'm waiting for my parents to come. Lu Winson was finally satisfied. He smiled and said, "Wife, it would be great that you were like this. I will pack my luggage now. By the way, we gave my mother a 20,000 red envelope, and I must give him face in front of his relatives." Lu Winson earned 8,000 yuan a month, a mortgage of 4,000 yuan, and a car loan of 2,000 yuan. He saved the 20,000 yuan for a long time. He originally thought that he would use the money to buy milk powder for his child, but now he wants to give his mother a face. He has decided to eat it, so I will buy milk powder and diapers. He gave up completely. As expected, what is said online is right. Many men pretend to be after a woman becomes pregnant. I smiled and said, "Just be happy. It's natural for your mother to give this money, and it has nothing to do with us." Lu Winson snorted proudly, and he muttered in a low voice, "What my mother said is indeed correct." Lu Winson hummed a song to pack his luggage. My dad asked me to bear it, and they arrived in more than 20 minutes. Fortunately, my home is not far away. After collecting his luggage, Lu Winson ate the cherries bought by my dad. Ask my wife. Can you buy it with your dad? 2 boxes of cherries. My mom has never eaten cherries. This time my dad brought him a few boxes to try. Cherries tend to be cheap this year. But my dad bought the quality. More than 500 per box. He has a big face. 2 boxes are required as soon as you open your mouth. My mother didn't hear it, he drove up to me and said it again. Your dad won't even be reluctant to leave 2 boxes of cherries, right? I glared at him. What stupid words are you talking about? Your dad. Buy a car. Your relative. 1 box per person. Make sure to win face for your mother. Lu Winson took it seriously. He sat by the bed and started counting the car. How many boxes can be placed in the car? Enough for all relatives. Just then, the doorbell rang. Lu Winson looked confused. Who is it? So late. Smiling and saying, "Don't cherries. Don't open the door yet." Lu Winson was shocked. My wife is so good. I'm not angry and happy now. Good. I can drive the car to the door and go back to my hometown. I'm smiling happily. My parents are finally here. Finally, no need to deal with him. Lu Winson opened the door. Then he looked confused. Look at my parents. He subconsciously looked behind my parents. Where are the cherries you bought? How many boxes did you buy? My dad ignored him. Pull my mom into the house. How are you? My mother pulled me to check it out carefully. He didn't do it, did he? If he dares to hit you. Today I've ruined him. I'll shake my head quickly. He hasn't done anything yet. But he feels like he wants to do it. He clenched his fists and squeezed them again and again. I won't beautify him in front of my parents. I can't bear the consequences. Lu Winson shook his head repeatedly. I don't. How could I beat Ching Ching? I don't love her enough. Parents. Have you misunderstood something? My mother looked at him coldly. Are you going back to your hometown? Lu Winson nodded. My mother rolled her eyes. Then there is no misunderstanding. You can go back to your hometown. But I definitely disagree. Ching Ching goes back with you. What's going on in your hometown? Don't you think about it? Lu Winson's face turned bad in an instant. His eyes were slowly looking at me. Chen Ziqing. What do you mean? You agreed to go back with me. What did you call your parents here? You have to remember. We are a family. I'm the most important person you are. The more he speaks, the more proud he becomes. My parents' faces are getting ugly. My dad slapped him in the face. Lu Winson. You dare to treat Ching Ching like this in front of us, and you will definitely beat or scold him in private. I didn't say anything, covered my face and pretended to be pitiful. Regardless of whether Lu Winson bullied me before or not. He's bullying me now. Lu Winson was fooled. He shouted loudly. When did I bully her? I haven't hit her. You must apologize to me. Otherwise I'll get divorced. He has a big belly. Who else wants her besides me? My mom was shocked. They didn't expect Lu Winson to say such words. He wasn't like this before. Very nice to me and gentle. Even the eyes are doting. It's gone long ago. It seems that I started to change when I was 6 months pregnant. I mentioned it at that time. Lou Winson said I was sensitive after I got pregnant. He hasn't changed. What has changed is that I think it's because he doesn't pretend anymore. Because he thinks I can't escape. My dad slapped him again. Do you know what you are talking about? Lou Winson stared at my dad. I have a car and a house. Working stably. What kind of woman can't find? She has been married and has children. Who would want her? You slapped me twice and gave me 100,000. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with them. My dad was so angry that he laughed. Good. Go to divorce tomorrow. Whoever doesn't go is the grandson. A man like you. It's okay if my daughter doesn't want it. Qin Ziqing's road has never been the only one you. My dad looked at him coldly. Lou Winson was timid. Never mind. I'm too lazy to argue with you. My dad snorted coldly. Raise your hand. Lou Winson took several steps back. He said, I'll go to bed for the second time. If you figure it out. Go back together tomorrow morning. Until now. He wants me to go back. I said lightly. I don't want to say anything more. I refuse to go back. Lou Winson's face was full of anger. But I dare not say anything. Night. Mom sleeps with me, Dad sleeps on the sofa. The next day. My mom cooked a large table of dishes. Lou Winson thought my family wanted to apologize to him. His face was full of pride. I'll forgive you this time, it's okay if I don't go back. But I still have to give red envelopes to honor my mother and relatives. You transfer 20,000 yuan to me. If not enough, I'll make up for it. We have a new understanding of Lou Winson's shamelessness. My face turned red. What thing are you looking for? Why? Some men are born to be actors. I'm crazy. My mom made all this for my daughter. You don't go to the table. My dad said, get out. Get out quickly. Want to vomit when you see it. Lou Winson stared at my belly. Said you. You'll regret it. My dad is in front of me. This sentence is also replied to you, Lou Winson. You'll regret it. After Lou Winson left. We're starting to pack up, too. Prepare to move. Yes. Move and leave here. Never come back. My parents have seen through him. They are worried. I live here, let me follow them later. Anyway, they're the only daughter. The child is in our Chen family's household registration. They're thinking quite a bit. My dad scolded the Lou family. Humming a song. Clean up furniture and appliances. I didn't expect that I could add a green to my household registration book. Your mother and I are happy to support you. Rest assured. Your dad has a way to make him divorce. Of course I feel at ease. The relatives at home are very powerful. Try a few more times. Lou Winson became honest. Until evening. We've just packed up. Pull 2 cars back. Take everything away if it's mine. Even the broom was taken away. The bed where Lou Winson slept. I think it's dirty and sold. Gift to him. The ones that can be used were divided by relatives. Throw away all the unusable. Anyway, he must not take advantage of it. The house is empty. This is a New Year gift to Lou Winson. He must be very happy. After all, there are cars and houses. Working stably. Saved money. You can buy furniture and appliances in half a year. I followed my parents back to Chen's house. My bedroom was clean and tidy, and I also prepared a lot of baby supplies. My daily lunch. My father quit smoking and drinking, and sat by the bed with a storybook every day and told stories, with a serious expression, afraid of reading a word wrong. It was a relative who visited him, and no one mentioned Lou Winson, he seemed to not exist. On the 3rd day of the Chinese New Year, I chatted with my relatives and my uncle told a joke. I couldn't help but smile with my stomach, and then my stomach hurts. In fact, that joke is not very funny, but my joke is too low, I just can't help it. Fortunately, there are many people in the family and the hospital is not far away. We arrived at the hospital 10 minutes later. After a series of examinations, the doctor told me that the amniotic fluid was broken and I was hospitalized immediately. He asked the child's father where he was and needed his signature. My dad sighed. After the child's father ran away, the child followed our family. My dad understood instantly, and he comforted me and reassured me. I breathed a sigh of relief because I had already thought about a cesarean section. I asked, and I would have my daughter cut out after more than an hour. Her name is Yuyu, 49 centimeters, weighing 6 pounds and 6 ounces, white and tender, very cute. My dad sat beside him and watched all night. He said, "Daughter, I have decided that Yuyu must follow us. Your mother and I have all my savings. I decided to accept the re-employment of my unit, and I can increase my income by more than 10,000 yuan every month, which is enough to support you. You can just take care of Yuyu at home and leave everything else to me." My eyes are sour, but my heart is warm. I said, "Dad, I can make money, I can support you." As soon as I finished speaking, my dad was unhappy. "Dad has just given birth to a child. Have a good rest. Don't write. The body is the most important thing. Do you know? Be good." I showed him my royalties. He read it for 10 minutes, then said, "My daughter is amazing. In the future, your mother and I will help you take care of your children. You can write novels to support us." On the 4th day of the Lunar New Year, Lu Winson sent me a message, and this was the first time I sent me a message in a few days. He said, "Wife, I'll come back tomorrow and bring you a gift, you will definitely like it." I smiled at the birth certificate I just got. My daughter's name is Chen Yuyu. I think he will like this name too. I didn't reply, and he sent another one. "Okay, stop making trouble. You're going to give birth. What else do you want me?" In order to earn face, I swiped 30,000 credit cards. "Now you transfer 50,000 yuan to me, and I'll go to the maternal and infant store to buy milk powder." What a big face, how dare he do it? I replied, "You transfer 50,000 yuan to me now. I want to give birth to a baby and buy milk powder diapers. You are your biological father. Could it be that you are not willing to pay the money, right?" The person on the opposite side is constantly typing. To be honest, if the child was young, I directly hit Lu Winson, which was very bad, and he did it on purpose. After a long time, he replied, "You want to give birth to this child. Why do you ask me to pay for it? If you have the ability, you will get a fight. I want to see which hospital dares to abort my son." I told him, I looked at my daughter next to me, but fortunately her name is Chen Yuyu. "Lu Winson, you have been raising me for 3 years, why don't you act for half a year? At least I'll have a baby happily to avoid postpartum depression. I'm very tired. Do you know? I don't want to make myself tired for one more day." So he stopped pretending, and now he is too lazy to even be perfunctory. I asked him, "Then are you afraid that I will take your child to jump off the building? You don't know you too much. You can't bear to leave your child. Your eyes change when you touch your stomach." So he felt that I would be held by him. He still doesn't understand me. For the sake of the child, his irresponsible father can throw it away. I ignored him and closed my eyes to rest. Now I need to rest more and maintain my body to fight. The next day, I turned off the phone. On the 3rd day, Lu Winson came over. I went to see Yuyu's gender as soon as possible, and then looked at me with contempt. Yuyu was scared to tears by him, and I quickly comforted him. Lu Winson said coldly, "Chen Ziqing, you can't even give birth to a son. I don't dislike you. I will throw this child to your parents and let us give birth to another one when we go home. Also, did you move the things at home? How did you move them? How do you move them back to me? Otherwise, I'm not polite." When he was dating, he said that he liked his daughter and was a caring little cotton jacket. After getting married, he said that both boys and girls are fine, and as long as it is his, he likes them. When I got pregnant, I would take good care of me in the first 3 months. After 6 months, he said it several times, it would be great if it was his son. Although Lu Winson's body had already come out of the mountains, his mind was still futile. Before I could speak, my father came out of the bathroom, ran over and stood in front of Yuyu and me. "My daughter only gave birth to this one, you want your son to give birth to yourself?" Lu Winson chuckled and said, "Dad, this is my personal affairs between Chen Ziqing. Please don't get involved. If we divorce because of your instigation, if he regrets it in the future, wouldn't he blame you?" I held my body up, and the wound on my stomach hurt. I took a deep breath and told myself to hold my breath. "Lu Winson, divorce, let's get together while I'm in a good mood now." Lu Winson's face changed, and he looked at me angrily. "Chen Ziqing, you are crazy. I don't even dislike you for giving birth to a money-losing guy. Are you going to divorce me? Yes, you can't deserve me now. So, give me 200,000, and I can divorce at any time. 200,000 is enough for me to find another yellow girl." He clearly spoke Chinese, but I didn't understand it very well. If I had to give him a bride price when I got a divorce, I would like to find a yellow-flowered daughter. He has no problem with his brain, right? My dad laughed angry and stopped me who wanted to scold me. Ching Ching, you have a good rest, I'll go out to talk to him about life. I know my father was afraid that I would get up and beat someone up, and then pull the wound. After all, it would be a bit difficult for me to get up now. Lu Winson didn't want to, he wanted to anger me. My dad pointed to the camera on the top of his head and said, "Are you really not going out with me? I heard you want to have a child." The team leader became honest in an instant. Follow my dad out obediently. This camera is temporarily installed. My mother watched the video of a child being dragged online and immediately bought 2 cameras. There are people watching Yuyu at any time, and midnight is no exception. I'm a little worried. My dad is in his 60s and will definitely be at a disadvantage if he fights. Fortunately, there are many relatives here, so I said in the group that my cousin will be there in 10 minutes. With my dad's ability, I delayed it for 10 minutes. I copied the surveillance video I just watched to my phone and saved it in the cloud space. Since Lu Winson cares so much about his work, I will give him a surprise. My Yuyu is not a money-losing guy. I want her to grow up carefree, and it is best not to see Lu Winson in this life. Not long after, my mother came with 3 aunts. He held my hand and kept comforting me, kissing me, not afraid, with my mother here, no one can bully you. My mother-in-law came as soon as she finished speaking. It turns out that this is the surprise that Lu Winson gave me. My mother-in-law looked at me coldly. What are Chen Zi doing when she turns off the customs? Isn't it just a baby? What's the big deal? And why do you free up my overtime work? Are you breaking the law, do you know? My son is really great. He told me not to scold you, but are you worthy? Those things are mine, why are you not worthy? What are you doing? You call the police directly. Why don't you call the police? Is it because those are mine? I only said these 2 sentences, and my mother and 3 aunts started a 1-on-4, and my mother-in-law would lose. At this time, Yuyu was woken up again. Lu Winson cried when he came just now, but now his mother made Yuyu cry again. I patted her gently. My mother pulled her mother-in-law out and left her aunt to look at us. If we scare our Lu family, we have to listen to me. What are you? Do you want to grab me? Believe it or not, I will let my son beat them to death. My aunt was afraid that I would think too much, so she kept looking for reasons to comfort me. In fact, I was not as fragile as they thought. The saying being a mother is hard is not wrong at all. For the sake of Yuyu, I will be fine. More than an hour later, they came back. There were too many people and couldn't fit the entire VIP room. My dad, said it was okay, they were all resolved. When you are in better health, you will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce. Lu Winson was frightened when he saw so many people coming. Okay, but unfortunately I didn't see such a wonderful picture. My dad knew me so much that he immediately sent me a video. When my daughter is unhappy, she looks at me. When I opened it, I saw the video that scared Lu Winson just now. At first, he raised his head and looked proud. Want to get a divorce? Yes, 200,000, annoyance. You must know that I have a marriage certificate, I can beat them, I can keep pestering him, and the money-losing guy, I can step into the mountains. The more he spoke, the more proud he became. My dad couldn't bear it anymore and punched him in the face. Just as Lu Winson was about to fight back, he was surrounded by a group of people and was pulled over. Those people were relatives and friends of my family. They pulled Lu Winson and refused to let him take action, so they could only be beaten passively. After a few strokes, Lu Winson begged for mercy, but my father disagreed. Lu Winson was beaten for half an hour, and finally he collapsed on the ground without moving. My dad threw the divorce agreement to him, and Lu Winson signed it with his hands trembling. My dad was satisfied. You'd better be obedient, otherwise I'll go to your unit. As long as my daughter is not easy, no one can think of it. Lu Winson, you are a smart person, don't do stupid things. The economy is in a downturn and the job is not easy to find. You won't want to go back to your hometown to farm, right? When Lu Winson heard what my father said, his body trembled involuntarily. You will regret it. I am a high-quality man. Anyone I find is better than Chen Ziqing. My dad smiled and said, then try it. After saying that, my dad took a group of people away. After watching the video, I felt much better. My dad smiled and said, thank you for your help, have a meal together tonight. Relatives and friends looked at Yuyu, said hello to me and left. 2 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. All the indicators of Yuyu were normal and I recovered well. My mother-in-law came twice, but was scolded by my parents. The first time she said she was looking for a partner for Lu Wenson, I want a young daughter, a son, a rich man, and I want to regret it. The second time, she asked me if Yu Yu was needed. She said Yu Yu belonged to the Lu family and she had the right to take her back. I found someone to ask for information and found out that she was going to sell Yu Yu. The price was negotiated, which was only 50,000 yuan. I was really angry this time. I insist on exercising and do all the treatments I can do, just to recover as soon as possible and to beat them up personally. 2 weeks later, 2 ants lived in, and iron rods and pepper spray were hidden in every corner of the house. As long as they dared to come, they would be allowed to walk on their knees. After returning home, my mother-in-law came with a few apples. I held the pepper spray in my hand and looked at her with a smile. If I dare to say something bad in my hand, I will swear to death. Ching Ching, I am here to pick you up. It is not good for parents when I am in confinement. No matter how you say that the foot girl is also the granddaughter of our Lu family. Come home with me and I will serve you in confinement. Without thinking, I knew that her belly was covered with bad water. If I dared to go back, I would have to peel off even if I didn't die. I'm not stupid, why should I spoil them? The Lu family has no throne to inherit? Can't Lu Wenson find a better person than me? Her name is Qin Yuyu, she is my daughter. What does it have to do with your Lu family? What do you look like? I don't know what you are dressing. My mother-in-law's face didn't turn red. At this moment, the bedroom cried. My mother-in-law looked at me, I don't care. She is my son's seed. I must take it back to raise. If you don't agree, I will take you back together. Sure enough, her goal was Yu Yu, just for the 50,000 yuan, and she didn't give up when she refused last time. I took the chili spray and sprayed it hard into her eyes. What did you say? You said it again, I didn't hear it clearly. My mother-in-law screamed, and I said coldly, next time it will be no chili water. If you come again, don't go back, and your son. I pulled him to die together. My mother-in-law was so scared that her legs were weak. He crawled out. They never came again after this time. Lu Wenson found a rich man, who was very old, ugly, and fat, but very rich. My mother-in-law's circle of friends is very busy. He posts dozens of circle of friends every day, and she can post 4 at a meal of steak. Each photo of the gold bracelet on her wrist has her place. I just find it funny, but it's time to get a divorce, this is a good opportunity and can't be missed. I called Lu Wenson. Lu Wenson will handle the divorce at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. The person on the opposite side snorted coldly, you can give you 100,000 yuan in divorce. I am not something you can bully at will now. As expected, being rich and powerful is the life that people live. I wasted 3 years, don't I give me 100,000, right? Also, don't threaten me with your job, I'm not short of that little salary now. She found a rich man and she was very confident. I said, he is so rich. He is a man who crawls out and goes out misbehaving? You said I send these to him. Will he flood you or keep you as a dog? The person on the other side was panicked, and it was more effective than going to his company to make trouble. It seemed that he enjoyed his current life very much. Forget it, it's better for us to get together and part with each other. You just have to write a guarantee letter, otherwise I will snatch your daughter. I am his dad, I snatched it and sold it, what can you do to me? I will still bother you and keep pestering you until death. Qin Ziqing, only if I live well can you live well. You better pray that I live well. I smiled. Lu Wenson was wrong. He was living a good life and might not let us go, but if he died, no one could steal Yu Yu again. I answered very simply, okay, I promise you. The next day, my mother and 2 aunts helped me see the child, and I took my father and 5 cousins to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Wenson was wearing a famous brand, his mother was carrying an LV bag and wearing 10-centimeter high heels. She looked at us with a proud look. After looking at her sleeves, she showed her golden bracelet. I haven't seen you for a few days. Why have you gained so much weight? I am really not worthy of my son now. I just gave birth to a child. How many slim ones can I have? You need to have breastfeeding, so I can't lose weight. It doesn't matter. Now I don't need to marry a son. I said with a smile. Suddenly I didn't want to get divorced and wanted to send all those videos to rich women. Why do they always come to mess with me? Their faces changed instantly. Lu Wenson smiled and said, don't listen to my mother's nonsense. Let's go to divorce quickly. You still have to go home to take care of your children. I refused, but I really don't want to leave anymore. He is so rich. You can take me to see the world. As long as you give me enough money, I don't mind living together. Lu Winson and his mother were almost angry. What the hell do you want? I smiled and said, I will write another guarantee letter to me for 100,000 yuan. I will never disturb us in the future, otherwise I will go to the rich woman to complain. Lu Winson's face turned red. His mother wanted to lie on the ground and made a fuss. She looked at her clothes and couldn't bear to lie down. Finally, under my threat, we signed and stamped peacefully. A month later, I got the divorce certificate, and I felt relieved to get the certificate and could do a big fight. I found someone to have a good relationship with Lu Winson's mother. His mother is now a nouveau riche and dressed up very vain. If you praise him a few more words, you will become a good friend who can talk about everything, and then you will constantly brainwash him. Only in that aspect can you keep the rich woman. Lu Winson's mother believed it. He bought a lot of medicine and went home to force his son to take it. He is now accustomed to spending money and cannot accept the days without money. In order to live a good life, he kept nourishing Lu Winson. After taking various medicines, Lu Winson became really good and became famous in the circle. He found 2 more rich women. Now he has 3 rich women, and he has more than 10 hours a day in bed. His mother made him even better. He got a lot of money back, but his body gradually couldn't bear it. But they were immersed in the joy of making money and could not find it at all. In less than half a year, Lu Winson died in bed. His mother went to the rich woman to seek justice, but was thrown back to her hometown after being broken. He wanted too much money and the rich women were unwilling to give it to him. If he is not unlucky, he may still live well, mainly because he is reluctant to give up a good life and wants more retirement, but he still cannot do without the wind behind him. After he returned to the village, he called me and begged me to take care of him. For Yu Yu's sake, he also promised that he would leave his future inheritance to Yu Yu. I said lightly, I have no obligation, and Yu Yu is not 1 year old yet, and I cannot take the responsibility of taking care of you. As for the money, I think it is dirty, so you go and ask for help from others. He was almost angry with me. Can you make a fuss about my son? I have money, so I can give it to Yu Yu. I pinched Yu Yu's little face and said, don't you give me anybody's face. Why don't you ask those 3 rich women again? The person opposite hung up. How dare he provoke a rich woman? Not long after, he died. It was said that his nephew starved to death. I don't care if I get his money, and no one will disturb us anymore. It's pretty good. Yu Yu has been raised by me, and he has many people who love him. It was then that my nightmare began.